Welcome to the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast, where wealth meets legacy. Join your host, Tim Fergestad, as we explore the journeys of Phoenix's finest to success and beyond.
Hello, this is Tim Fergestad. Thank you for joining us. Kim Taylor is an accomplished executive with a knack for transforming medium-sized companies into true success stories. I'm excited to talk to you today. Welcome to the show, Kim.
Well, thanks for having me on. It's an honor.
Oh, thank you. So, why don't you give us a quick snapshot of what you're focusing on now, what you're launching right now? I think it's just pretty cool.
Yeah. So after being a CEO for 30 plus years, me and one of my old employees, and my wife were starting a brand new consulting company, trying to take advantage of all of that knowledge to where we can help small to medium-sized companies kind of get to the next level. So my expertise has been working with private equity, turning companies around, growing companies, starting companies. So being able to go and help these small companies, whether it's opening up multiple sites or big focus on revenue generation or technology or even diligence readiness to get them ready for a sale. That's what we're going to be focusing on here going forward.
Okay. Are there any specific industries, or you have experience in a few, but I was wondering if you had sort of a niche you were focusing on?
Well, my background has been 30 years in litigation technology, and over the last year and a half, I was CEO of a financial service company. But no, we're going to be just really focused. It's more the ideal client profiles will be more, focused on that, $1 million company trying to get to $5, $10, $20 million company. Okay, that helps. And where are your clients generally? I mean, you're historically, I think you've been throughout the U.S. Is that right? Yes, I've had companies all over the United States. We're going to really focus on Phoenix. We have a lot of experience here in Phoenix, a lot of contacts here in Phoenix. So, my first company I started in 1995. We started in Phoenix and grew that to a national litigation technology company. So Phoenix is our home base. We have a lot of old employees waiting for us to get enough size for them to come and join us. But yeah, we'll start in Phoenix.
Okay. Why don't you talk a little bit and give us a background on how you got started in business? And I believe that was here in Phoenix, which is it's a good story.
Yeah. And I actually have a website, timothytaylor.com, and it has about 50 blogs and stuff like that. And I'm in the midst of writing a book about this, but I'm an old-time computer person, and it's funny, I went to high school here in Cortez, high school in Arizona, and our freshman year, they actually had a computer programming class in 1978, if you can believe that. And that was the start of personal computers. And so it was an old Radio Shack TRS-80. And so that kind of...
Trash 80, nice.
Yeah, Trash 80. So it kind of got me, that computer bug bit me. And so since then, I've always been self-taught on computers, and it's helped me in my career. So in high school, I actually graduated early, went back to Ohio and worked for corporate Taco Bell, learning, I can't stress enough, and I have a blog on this, on the MBA that you can get just by working at a restaurant. And so, I was a low-level employee working at night, graveyard actually, and, learning how to customer service and inventory management and juggling balls and stuff like that. In August of that year, I went back to ASU, started ASU, and I was lucky enough to get a job as an assistant manager. And the Taco Bell was terrible. And so with the help of my sister, we wrote up a business plan to $5 an hour take over this very long, old Taco Bell. And this crazy gentleman gave me the reins. I was a freshman at school. All the employees quit day one, so I'm recruiting.
Wow.
I'm recruiting people out of my dorm and, any place I could. I actually hired my mom and family members. And ended up staying there for about 3 years. We went from the worst Taco Bell to the fastest growing Taco Bell, the biggest in the state.
Okay.
It's no longer there now. They moved it, but it kind of got
Still,
me fit
that's
into that business bug.
yeah, that's that. Congratulations on that, though. I know it was a while ago, but that's still a pretty cool. And everybody quitting day one's kind of maybe a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, it actually was. I didn't think it at the time. I mean, I had a full load at ASU, and I had no employees, so I'm working day and nights. It's funny. We would get big old bags of beans and put them down and make a bed, and my mom would call me in the morning to wake me up just because we'd close and we couldn't go to bed. So it was very traumatic, and I ended up, I think that semester got, C's and B's and went to class once or twice that semester.
Wow.
But it really got me out of trying to be a botanist into business. And and I later went and started working at a restaurant chain called Bennigan's. And it was kind of the same thing. They brought me in to run restaurants, but eventually I became their fireman. So my running joke is I was Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse before Patrick Swayze. And, so I would go across the country and fix Bennigan's restaurants. And, so that kind of got me into this turnaround mode and being able to go into companies, assess the people, look at the process of operations, look at the sales and marketing, and try to make those better. And so eventually I did get a computer job at CompUSA, and opened up about 40 training centers. And then the next thing I know, I'm in a litigation technology company doing the Exxon Valdez case. It's funny, Tim, when I say Exxon Valdez case now, a lot of people don't even know, if they're not my your age, they don't know what Exxon Valdez was, but that was a huge case at the time. And then in 95, with two of my Taco Bell employees and our family, we started a litigation technology company. And 8 years later, sold it, opened up 5 cities, started it here in Phoenix, opened up 5 cities, and became one of the largest litigation technology companies in the United States. And, so that started my, getting experience with private equity and working with private equity.
Okay. What were the bigger challenges and lessons learned from that endeavor?
Oh, wow. You'll have to read the book. I'm hoping to have a book out here next 4 or 5 months. But
what's it called?
If you look, I had no capital, right? And so we were taking loans from our house. We were, maxing our credit cards, and it's really kind of interesting. We opened this company out of desperation because a local software company we were working with went out of business. And so we were back in pay, and, we had to figure out how to, feed our family. And, but not having capital, not having the experience of, starting a company, it's really interesting. I've always worked for big companies at that time. So I didn't have to worry about HR. I didn't have to worry about, accounting. I didn't have to worry about making payroll, stuff like that. And so when you switch from being a high level, I was national operations managers on a lot of these companies, switching to now it's, you're having to do all of that infrastructure. The infrastructure was very difficult.
Sure. So jump forward to today. You've done worked for a number of bigger companies and smaller companies, and done these sort of turnarounds. What's sort of your focus now? I believe it's digital practice. Is that
digital practice, right? And so, I think most entrepreneurs have the desire to grow and eventually sell to private equity. That seems like that's the recipe a lot of folks want to take. And, I look back at when I started my first company, Lex Ludio, I did not have a clue on even private equity was a thing at that time. I didn't even know that was an option. I didn't know that there was venture capital that would probably put money in once we got a certain size. I didn't have any of that information. So it was all bootstrap learn on the fly. And, we were lucky. We doubled every year for 8 years and finally sold. But even that selling process, I went out and got a business broker. I later found out that they gouged us. And, so I paid through the nose for this person. So not having a big brother or someone to consult with to guide me through that process made it very difficult. And so with digital practice, what we're really wanting to do is really take those smaller companies with a huge emphasis on sales and marketing, by the way, because, as my role of, I've been lucky enough to sell 3 companies. I've been lucky enough to, during being a CEO, acquire 6 companies. It's all about revenue and it's all about EBITDA. And so, you can't get EBITDA without revenue. So we're digital practice. We have a great sales and marketing expertise. We're going to use AI and technology and a lot of the new resources to help these companies generate revenue. But at the same time, if they need a tune-up or if they need guidance on technology or due diligence, stuff like that, digital practice will do that. And we're kind of going to do it in a modern way, right? And so, one, being a technologist, we'll use AI in every bit of automation that we can. But, crowdsourcing, I think if you look at crowdsourcing on all the capabilities to do that, be able to get more resources without having to pay a lot of money, we're very good at crowdsourcing. So we're going to use our vast network of people. And if we don't have the expertise in-house, we'll go out and with people that I've worked with over the last 30, 40 years, we'll bring those people in when we need them. And that's kind of the modern day workforce. The day of, brick and mortar, for a lot of these nimble companies, I think those days are over. With AI, with crowdsourcing, with remote work, it's amazing what you can build in that. And we'll really be practice what we preach and be a modern workforce company.
Okay, very cool. So what are sort of the challenges for starting up something like that?
Well, it's kind of interesting because I'm going to be solving the same problem for myself that I'm going to be solving for my customers, right? So, how do you go get those new customers? I've been out of the Phoenix market. I've been more national for the last probably 5-6 years. So going and, what are the networking opportunities? What are the contact lists? Setting up email automation, trying to do a lot of social media content to try to get customers. And so, being an entrepreneur, it's all about outreach. It's all about getting customers. It's all about getting your name out. And so that's the strategy right now is, we're in our infancy and we will, so we're doing the same things that we'd be doing for our customers is, letting people know that we're here.
Okay. Excellent. And having those different experiences and positions throughout your career, that sort of success is great. But then you're I guess you're transitioning now into another endeavor, right? And some of this is like a lot of people in these industries are. It's a bit of an eat what you kill sort of scenario. What are your thoughts on creating income outside of your business or planning for retirement?
Yeah, so through the years, I've done a lot of investments, and I love what you're doing with the real estate. I dabbled in that, and I wish I would have known you about 15 years ago because I think at one point in time I had 6 or 7 rentals, and I just didn't know what I was doing, and I was so busy growing my own company that I kind of thought that those real estate investments was more of a nuisance and more of a problem. And, hindsight, I wish I would have, got a management company instead of trying to do it myself. But, I, did some crazy stuff. I had a realtor told me Boise was the next hot thing. And so I flew to Boise and it was like almost bought 2 or 3 rentals there. Instead, I ended up going to Sandpoint, Idaho, and buying stuff in Sandpoint, Idaho, and really didn't do well on my investments because I bought high and sold low. In 2011 ended up selling because my family dynamics changed to where I could get to Idaho as much as I could. So I really look at having someone like yourself with that value. I wish I had that for my investments.
Yeah, that's a good lesson there too. I mean, you can do things yourself, and if you have this time and the systems and the know-how, you can make it work pretty well. I have some friends who do that, who manage their own portfolio of 50 single-family rentals, for example. But most of us, it's nice to have a professional management company in charge.
Well, and I've said it already. Practice what you preach. And so I wish I would have went out and got a consultant. Like I'm trying to be a consultant for these small to medium-sized companies. For those, I probably should have went out and got a real estate.
Pay for speed.
Yeah, right. But I was I was young and full of piss and vinegar. I was, so focused on building my company, everything else was a distraction.
Sure. Yeah, that's another thing too. Is a lot of my investors are high income professionals, right? And their time is just better spent elsewhere, right? They get a better return on their time, and then trying to deal with tenants and toilets and other things like that. Okay, thank you for sharing a little bit. That's kind of on the topic of best and worst investments, which I sometimes like to ask people what it was. It sounds like that might have been some of your worst.
Yeah, that's been some of my worst, and being in kind of my role with being a turnaround guy for private equity. I'm lucky that I go in and they give me stock for being the CEO, and so far I've had good luck with those. I'm hoping I got 2 more companies that where I have stock will eventually end up selling. I kind of went with the mentality that my role kind of allowed me to invest in myself and put the money there, and so so far it's been paying out.
Okay. Is that kind of the trend in that industry, right? Where you sort of, it's I guess you'd call that production based, right? Where you get equity in the company, and if everything goes well, you get bonus.
Well, yeah, and that's how private equity works, right? So the executive team will come in and get basically incentive units, and those incentive units only pay out if the company sells, and so and that's kind of how that works. And as a CEO, you normally get a pretty good share of those. And, if the company grows, and that's the whole premise of private equity, right, is they buy a platform and try to bolt on and add on and grow it and eventually sell it for a higher multiple and higher EBITDA. And so if that transpires, then, the CEO and the executive and management team and the employees can make a lot of money.
Okay. Well, this is as we sort of shift toward the end of the interview, I have some questions I like to ask people. It's been really interesting lately. Like, one thing is, what have you done this year that's changed your life, Kim?
Well, I'm trying to get healthy, and that's probably, I just finished up
that'll change your life.
Yeah, Arizona Diamondback baseball fantasy camp, and I wrote an article just yesterday on that in LinkedIn and on my webpage. This is my 9th time doing it, but I've always went into camp probably not ready. It's a 5-day hold on. It's a 5-day wonderful experience.
Okay.
But it's grueling. And so, since my role in the past, my last company, I would travel to India. I'm always on a plane, 300,000 miles a year flying.
Wow.
Probably not eating, like I should.
Right.
So really just focus on, I'm 62. It's like, how do I get in shape to last a little bit longer? And so that's probably been one thing. And the second thing is, I've been talking about writing a book for 20 years. I've been over the years, writing it, stopping it, writing and stopping it. And this year, I said no. I'm going to finish it, and so I keep writing little articles, which are basically excerpts from the book, and
Sure.
posting on LinkedIn. But I'm bound and determined to get this information on paper, and I don't really anticipate being a bestseller or even anyone buying it. It's mainly for my kids, to where I can tell these stories that even the Taco Bell story and others, and pass that wisdom on to them and let them know. God, my throat is hurting. Let them know what how I got here, and why maybe I missed some of those t-ball and baseball games.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Connect with people, share some wisdom. That
Yeah.
sounds good. I imagine just reflecting on all those achievements and things throughout your life is probably pretty rewarding in its own right.
It's really been interesting reflecting back. And one of the things I will tell you that is kind of humorous, like I said, I've been writing this for a long, long time. And so I'd go back to older sections, and just even the tone and things that you can say today, and wording and everything. I'm like, oh, I have to rewrite this whole paragraph, because this, I can't say that anymore, so sometimes I feel like I've written the same sections 3 or 4 times, but I'm using it's also allowed me to use technology and understand how I can use AI to speed up the process, and how I can I don't type anymore. I'll just dictate into Word, and so it's really kind of interesting of getting back and learning the AI thing, because if I do a lot of work with ASU, and I think I'm be teaching a couple classes this spring. But they have venture doubles, and I'm a judge for venture doubles twice a year, and I mentor MBA students, and I'm on a dean's council for a College of Integrated Science and Arts. And I get asked this question all the time: how is AI going to affect the business world? And it already in 3 years had a drastic effect on. And look how many Amazon and Microsoft, et cetera, big layoffs. And it's going to affect white collar more so than ever before. The CEO of Microsoft told everybody to go become an electrician. So the dynamics of jobs and colleges are going to change quite a bit. And so I'm kind of using the book to make sure that being a technologist, I understand and can take advantage of AI. But this is kind of the new frontier, just like when personal computers came out, right? Mm-hmm. So the people who are used to doing calculators and old ledgers, you better learn Excel, and you better learn the personal computer. And that's my advice to all the younger kids: is you better figure out how to really understand AI and be the wizard behind the curtain on the AI, because that's what AI can do is really amazing.
Right. Okay. Very cool. Good stuff. Thanks, Kim. I want to just double click on what you said. You're a sports nut then, aren't you, Kim? Going to the fantasy camp.
Yeah, I'm. At one point in time, my house in Ahwatukee was nothing but sports memorabilia, and my friends' wives would walk in, and the first thing that they would tell their husband is, "Don't even think about doing it." So yeah, I big Ohio State fan, and we have a lot to celebrate these days, and huge ASU fan as well. And last year was an amazing season, and we were this penalty away from Ohio State playing ASU. But yeah, no, I love sports. Even to the point to my dog, I have 2 dogs, one named Brutus and one named Sparky, the mascots for Ohio State and Arizona State.
Okay. That's awesome, Kim. Okay, very cool. So, impact here in Phoenix. I think your book, you're helping businesses and companies, and your new focus here is great, but also your book, I think, will be have another way to give some lasting impact. That's great.
Well, and that's why I spent a lot of time at ASU. I was lucky enough to do the convocation speech for the College of Integrated Science and Art. And I'm like, the year before, they had the ex quarterback for ASU. And I'm like, why are you picking me? And, my claim to fame is it took 26 years for me to get my bachelor's degree. So I left my senior year as a botanist and sold my first company at 39, decided to go back to school. And they, I was on academic probation and the business college wouldn't let me in. So I ended up getting a bachelor's degree in liberal studies. And that kind of started me really trying to get more education. And I didn't need it for my career, but I wanted to send a message to my kids how important school. So I sold another, went and got my MBA, and then I already had an associate paralegal degree and sold it, so I have my undergrad in MBA at ASU, and then sold another company and went and got a master's in business operational excellence, kind of like a high-end black belt Lean Six Sigma at Ohio State. So anytime I'm on the computer looking at PhD programs, my wife threatens to divorce me. It's like, you can't go back to school. But, I'm a big believer in lifelong learning. I'm a big believer in giving back. Okay. And, so I do a lot of speaking engagements and stuff, working with ASU because, molding these people starting out. I think, I wish I had kind of more of that mentorship, when I was starting.
Right. Okay. Is that so that brings me to one of my last questions here is what do you wish you would have known sooner about building wealth and success earlier in your career?
Like I said, I really wish that I knew that there were support groups and people out there. And I think things has changed quite a bit on, there's all kinds of VC with startup mills and, there's, if you go look at small and medium-sized companies, there's so many networking opportunities, education groups, and even access to capital. And so we're going to be hitting that network hard. But, so I don't know in 2003 in 93 when we started it, how big those were. But I really wish I knew that back then that there were people to help, there were funding to help, capital to help, because, we did it the hard way. And, my credit card bills sometimes were like, how am I going to pay this? We with Lex Ludio, we landed the Enron litigation, and at Christmas time we were taking loans out on our homes just to try to make payroll. And so I really wish that I knew that there were resources out there to help you get better.
Okay. Yes, for sure. A lot of people. Even unofficial ones, right? Just a casual mentor can be incredibly helpful.
Right, you bet.
All right. Okay, Timothy, if people would like to connect with you or learn more, what can they do? Where should they go?
Yeah, so I have a website, digitalpractice.com, and then I also have a personal website where, like I said, a lot of articles about business and advice at KimothyTaylor.com, and that's Kimothy with a K. Somehow, my mom decided to name me Timothy, and at first I said, well, that's a curse, and I got beat up a lot as a kid, but as an adult, it's definitely a unique name.
Yeah, you stand out for sure.
Yeah.
Unlike us Timothys over here.
Well, see, I go as Kim, but whenever I hear the word Timothy from my wife, I know I've done something wrong. So.
Yeah, I don't usually. Yeah, I was trained at an early age too that my full name was not good.
Right. Yeah, it quickly, they say we can't learn, but we're pretty smart as young kids. It's like Timothy is normally bad. So.
Yeah. Okay, that's funny. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for listening and watching. Thank you very much, Timothy Taylor, for joining me today. Very much appreciate you sharing your story and insights into success and growing companies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Inspired by our guests? Visit phoenixprosperitypodcast.com/guest and join us on the show and share your success story with Tim. The spotlight awaits.